Hi, this is Dorothy with Scrapbooking, and we are going to make two cards today. And they're critter cards because, critter cards always make you feel good, and, it's hard to not smile when you're looking at them. So this is my underwater card that I've made using the July stamp of the month called Voice of the Sea. And it's just kind of realistic drawings that are just, I think, really lovely. So I'm using one of my value pack A2 cards, 4¼ by 5½. They're scored with envelopes, so real easy to make cards when you've got them handy and you don't have to cut everything and make an envelope. So I'm taking a piece of paper from the Hope and Kindness collection. And, I used it because it kind of looks like sand to me. I thought it would be, a good bottom of the sea sand base. So I went ahead and ripped it to show our white core on our cardstock. And this is just a perfect way of showcasing, how good it is to have these cardstocks that have a really nice card base. So if you rip it away from you, you get the card base. If you don't want that card base to show, then you rip it in the other direction. So you can just play around with that to see which way for you. So I'm going ahead and I'm making layering of the sand because it's just not perfectly smooth, and I'm ripping away the parts I don't like. So, and then I flip the card over and cut off any of the excess. So there we go. And I am just going to go ahead and make yet another layer. So I'm ripping the paper towards me and just made another little kind of hill of sand down at the base. And I am using the distressed oxides in a couple of different colors of blue. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of start off the cardstock and then continue on. So honestly, what I should have done was this should have come first before I put the paper on. Then I could have gotten, I got some lines here and some circles and stuff like that. So definitely it would make sense if you're going to make a background, put the background on first before you put your layers, and then you can put your layers on top. So anyway, I'm just using, I think this is peacock feathers and broken china, and I'm just kind of going off onto my craft mat, which just wipes up super, super easy. So now I'm trying to get under my sand. So the only problem is I've got some lines, and anyway, I could have been smarter about that. But you can keep on going over and over and over again until you get the look that you want. And really, the water underneath is kind of, swirly and wavy looking. And so the fact that it's not perfect is okay by me. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my butterfly with intense black. That way I can color over it and the black won't smear. And then I'm also going to stamp this really nice little grouping of coral and kelp and a pretty seashell and a starfish. And so those are going to be nice to color. So I am going to pull out my tri-blend markers, and I have like a dull green. I think it's actually called dull green, and I'm doing some outlining. So rather than just have everything all unicolor, you want to have some little dark and light. And the nice thing about the tri-blend markers is you get 3 choices. So you get your light and medium and dark color. And so it's perfect for adding interest and kind of a dimensional look to and some shadowing to the your coloring. So, and you can always add a little bit more shadowing to highlight little folds or whatever. So I'm also going to use, I believe, a coral color. So it's hard for me to not buy all the different colors. That way I've got everything kind of at my fingertips when I want to make something. So I don't get as frustrated and I don't have to run out to, the store and get anything. So I just use my catalog and shop online. And I do my shopping at dorothy.closetomyheart.com. So you can do that too if you need any of these supplies to make your scrapbook pages or cards or whatever kind of paper crafting you're doing. I mean, you don't have to do coloring or stamping. You can just do paper crafting. So I'm coloring my coral, and I'm going to use a little bit darker color to go around the starfish and add the dots. And just use the super light to kind of blend them together and fill in the center of the color. So I think there's some rocks there that I didn't even recognize when I first stamped the thing. So I'm going to color those in a tan. And I'm going to add some shadowing to the lines in the shell. And a very light tan and on the rocks and the outside of the shell. And then the inside of the shell is kind of pink, like you'd find a conch shell. They're kind of pink on the inside, kind of an iridescent pink. So I'm going to go ahead and color some more of the coral. And you can make the coral whatever color you want. I got kind of literal with the name of it and the color I made it. So silly me. But you can use whatever colors you want. Oop. Sometimes I can't pull just quite right. So the other thing I'm going to do is color my butterfly fish, and I think it's a butterfly fish. So there I've got all my little coral colors. And those are going to be colors that go nice with the brown sand and the aquas and blues in the sea. Now I'm just adding some dark highlights on my coral, just for a little interest. And it really does add interest to it to have dark and light shading. And so I'm going to use this pretty blue. And I will put the names of the materials that I used down below with links if there's anything that you, excuse me, see that you want. Pardon me, the stamp of the month is only available, our stamps of the month are only available for the particular month. So this July stamp of the month is no longer available. But if you got it, this is something that you can do with it. Or if you have other C-type stamps, then you could also take this idea and, make a card with your sea scenes. So I'm making a yellow and aqua colored butterfly fish. So I kind of like those colors, and I'm kind of adding a little dark onto the lines on the fish, just for little interest's sake. Now, the stamps of the month do not come with thin cuts, so I've got to cut these out by hand. We call that fussy cutting. So the thing that you want to do when you're fussy cutting is don't move your scissors, move your paper, and then you can get a smoother cut. So I was putting scissors and finger together. So that's what I have learned from some other ladies, that you move the paper and not the scissors. And, you know, as it turns out, it really kind of works nicely. And it's kind of nice to leave a little white rim, so it kind of helps the stamp stick out a little bit more. So now I've got my fish. So it, you know, this kind of looked like it was going to be tedious to cut out, but you don't have to cut out every little nook and cranny. And I just cut my fish and my starfish apart so that I had smaller pieces to work with. So it's a little bit easier to manipulate the cardstock when you have a smaller piece. So here we go, down around the coral, up and over, and here we come down towards the end and coming out on fish lips. So there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these up, get my black away so I don't go making a mess, and I am taking my my water brush and I'm just splattering around on the paper, and you can see it's already making kind of water droplets that are kind of spreading, which is exactly kind of the look I wanted. So I'm also going to take my clear shimmer brush and get a little dot down there and spritz some of that around. I'm just kind of knocking it against my finger to just have kind of a glittery look to things. And I really don't know when to stop. But, you know, it's hard to have too much glitter. So I'm going to go ahead and put my fish down, and they're going to be in the sand because the coral is going to be coming up out of the sand, of course. So we're going to do like that, and I'm going to pop them up with my little pop foam dots. These are smaller, so they can kind of get up around the edges pretty easily. And I just want to have them go all the way around to kind of stick up and kind of hold the whole piece up. So I'm just going to tuck it under, just like that. So we've got sand behind it and sand in front of it. And, you know, it's just kind of, this was kind of fun to me to make this. And when you go through the catalog at dorothy.closetomyheart.com, you will find cards and scrapbook pages like this to kind of give you ideas of what to do with the stamps or the papers. And that's what is so cool about Close to My Heart, is our catalogs are just filled with artwork. And these are some of my older, these were in my stash, these little scallop shells. And I thought, oh, you know, go ahead and use some of those. So I'm just kind of placing them here and there. So now the sentiment that I wanted to put here, I stamped it, which seemed like a good idea at the time, except I didn't do a great job. Or it could have been that the paint was just not quite dry enough, and so it didn't do a good stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp it on paper here. I have my scrap handy. And then I'm just going to go ahead and once again fussy cut. And you know, fussy cutting, it's not, we're not talking, it's kind of fun, it's kind of zen to do. So it's kind of nice. So I'm making an irregular pattern. I didn't want just a square there. I wanted kind of a flowy look to go under the water. And I'm just going to go ahead and take my little sponging tool here, and I'm going to color my, getting ink all over me, and do the edges. So it's kind of an underwater look. And I'm going to pop it up right there to go over my stamp that didn't come out so good. So if you have something that doesn't come out so good, you can do it again and cover it up. Woohoo! You have no idea how many times I do that. It's okay. It's okay. We all make mistakes, and it's not, it's not a big deal. It's an opportunity. So that was that card. And this is the second card that we're going to do. And this one is available. He's so cute. It's called Toadally Awesome. And you get these 3 sayings with it. You're unforgettable. Have a totally awesome day. I'm so happy for you. And then you get the 1 thin cut for the frog. And so it's not a real expensive stamp set and thin cut because, it's just the 1 thin cut and 4 stamps. So I've always loved frogs. I have always loved frogs. I was catching frogs when there were frogs that existed in the creeks on Long Island. And, there was just something that I did. We collected tadpoles and had them grow. I mean, but that was a long time ago. That was in the 50s. So I've loved frogs ever since. So I'm seasoning the stamp right now. And I'm going to go ahead once again and stamp it in the intense black. So that way I can color the stamp with my markers, and I can do it very quickly. It dries very, very quickly. So here we go. I always stamp on scrap to make sure that the stamp is seasoned enough and ready to go to give a good impression. I'm holding my stamp in place to make sure all the ink transfers over into the cardstock, and poof, I get me a nice stamped little froggy, and he looks happy to see that bug, doesn't he? It's like, run, butterfly, run. So I'm going to wipe off my stamp with my micro cloth and go ahead and put it back, although I shouldn't have put it back so quickly. I could have stamped my envelope. Didn't think of it at the time. Kind of preoccupied with making a mess. Okay, so what I've done was we have the slimline cards also in a multi-amount, like 10 or 15 cards per package. So you can get those with the envelopes. So they're like 3.5 by 8.5, I believe. And I'm using maybe the pine or the New England ivy. Anyway, I'm using the dark side and cutting it 1/4 inch. So it's 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. And then this is the same paper, just the light side. So you're going to get a perfect match because it's the same shade, it's the same hue of color, just a slightly lighter shade of it. So this one was 3 by 8, maybe. And then the white needs to be, I don't know if that was right or if it needs to get cut a little bit shorter. So what I've decided to do is to pull out another distressed oxide, put my little disc on. I don't know if I'm using Mowed grass. I should be showing what I'm using. Silly girl. It will also be down below with links. And I'm starting off on the scrap paper and then working onto the card so that I don't get those round circles. So this is when you're making a background, this is what you want to do. You want to start off with your empty cardstock and work it so you have nothing else in the way, like I did with my prior card. So you always want to do this before you put your elements onto your card or your scrapbook page, whatever you happen to be making. So I'm going ahead and giving the edge of the paper the same distress color. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more height to my swampy, pondy looking background. So I'm going to go ahead and add what am I doing? Oh, I was trying to give some water spots to it to give the water look. And you can see I sprayed it. You can see that the water is starting to do its work, but I'm kind of spraying too much. So I think I pushed down too hard. And it's a little bit finer spray. So if you use the brush, the water brush with the water in it, then you get more of a droplet look. And you don't get so much water on your paper. So I'm going to go ahead and color my little toad. So I'm outlining him in this dark green. And going under his eyes, I'm going to make his eyes brown. So this is kind of more toad coloring than frog coloring. The toads I know, at least the toads I know in Texas, they have a lot of brown in them. He's got cute little arms. And I'm also going to put his little spots in the darker color. Got to get his little fingers in there. So now I'm going to use the lighter color. The light isn't that light. It's kind of dark in itself. So anyway, he's kind of coming together. I'm going to go for a little bit lighter look, a little bit more green, and just add some. Frogs they don't have just a solid color. They're kind of mottly and different colors in them. So that's my justification for using multiple colors of green. And it's just fine. The tri-blend markers really blend nicely. So they're really fun to use just because the more you lay down, the more dimension you get. So I'm going back to the little bit darker color. Anyway, and you can make your frog whatever color. If you want to make him a bright green, you could. There are red frogs, there are yellow frogs. You can make your frog any color you want. So I just think he's very, very cute. So he's happy. He's happy, and he's definitely eyeing that butterfly. I can see that tongue flying out any second. So I'm just going to color him all over. needed to highlight his mouth. Let's see. I'm giving him brown eyes. Do I know what color Frog's eyes are? I should. Here's his mouth. And adding a little tan onto those spots. And then, of course, the cattails are going to be brown. Nice fuzzy cattails. It's fun. It's such a cute little stamp. It's such a cute little scene, which you can use whatever colors you want, depending on the paper that you're using. So you can make flowers all different colors depending on your paper. And cattails don't have to be brown. They could be another color if you want them to. And of course the butterfly can be whatever color you want it to be too. So we have two flowers that can be different colors. And then I'm using a little bit brighter green. So this is the dull green blend. And like I said, I'll have all the information down below with links to it. So and then I've got to fill in the leaves. So we're coming along. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Let's see. Trying to find the right tan to use for the rocks. There we go. We have all different, lots of different colors of tan. There's an earth blend and tans and red brown and all sorts of different browns. So I'm using the yellow for probably citrus blend for my little butterfly, and with the little brown body. Now the other butterfly that I made, I used the shimmer brushes, the butterfly that, well, you'll see it at the end, butterfly that I cut out. I used the shimmer brushes to color him. So a lemonade shimmer brush and a black shimmer brush. And I'm making kind of a pink flower. That just kind of cheers everything up. So it just, I really like the way the colors just kind of blend together. Seems like I should make a yellow flower. Yellow center for sure. There we go. Nice pretty yellow flower. That kind of balances the butterfly on the other side. So here we go. I think he came out real cute. I'm real happy with him. And of course I'm going to pop him up. I've got my leftover pieces from the shaker windows that I make. And our new catalog, I'm going to have to do a go through of the brand new. There's a new annual catalog that starts. Actually, it started yesterday, and it's pretty exciting. We've got some new tools, a whole bunch of new stuff, a whole bunch of new embellishments, some beautiful papers for spring, summer, fall, and winter, and just some really amazing embellishments to go with every kind of situation you can imagine. The other thing that's in here, which I'm not sure if it's quite available yet, I've got to check, but we've got a T-square ruler that actually, the T is held on with magnets, and so you can use it as a T-square or a regular ruler. And I have so been wanting a T-square, so I cannot wait to get this ruler. So there's my little frog, and he is going to get placed on top of the background here. So I think that white piece was 3 by 8. So that way it gives each piece is like 1/8 of an inch all around. 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, maybe. Well, it's 1/8 of an inch because it's 1/4 of an inch shorter each way, and this way you get 1/8 of an inch all around for white, the dark green, and the light green. And so I am going to stamp the You're Unforgettable. I'm going to stamp it on white, and then I'm going to give it the dark background, the dark green background to make it pop. And the one thing that you won't see me do is I'm going to add some shimmer trim to the bottom along the swampy area. And I'm also going to stamp that little butterfly again and kind of have him off by himself. The butterfly that got away. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this on white. And I forgot to put my pad down, so it didn't give me a great stamp because I'm silly. And I moved it slightly too. So let me put my pad down the way I'm supposed to. See, the pad also kind of helps you keep it stabilized, squished into one spot so it doesn't slide. So there we go. That works. Okay, so I'm going to cut that out and put it on top of the green part here. And that is going to be... You're not going to see me do the other parts because my camera stopped and I didn't realize it. So I'm going to go ahead and color it. Add some of the green swamp color. And edge it a little bit. And then put it on top of the dark green background. So I'm going to have... Now the dogs are bugging each other. I closed the door and they opened it. Just so you know. Oh my goodness, they make me nuts. So here goes my saying on top of the green, and you'll see it getting stuck on there. Trim it down. Daisy's trying to bug Ginger. I think she's trying to add some life to her because Ginger is she's getting pretty darn old. So she's trying to play with her to keep her kind of active. So there we go. There's my finished card. And there's my little butterfly flying off, and those are my little shiny pieces to kind of match all the colors that are in the card, except for the corally color. So I've got the bronze and the lemonade and green shimmer trim, and then I've got some sequins, some bronze sequins there. And so you can see that little butterfly is just the stamp of that little butterfly, and I just cut him out. So very simple to do, and then color them and pop them up, of course, and then color them with my shimmer brushes. So there we go. And I've got an envelope to go with it. So there's the happy frog. So there we go. And I hope you like this. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And, if you like it, leave a comment. I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. And don't forget, you can shop with me at dorothy.closetomyheart.com. Thank you. Bye. Oh, here's the thin cut and the stamp. Totally Awesome. And it's available now on my website. And it's got the stamp and the thin cut plus 3 sayings, sentiments. I'm so happy for you. Have a totally awesome day, dude. It doesn't say dude. Bye now. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. That's Daisy saying goodbye with a cough. Oh my goodness. Take care. I got a new what do you call it? Manicure. Bye.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Smith. Thanks for watching my video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and learn along with me. Thanks. Bye-bye.